Food prices have risen nearly 30% since 2020. Not 30% on one item, 30% on everything, compounding every year on a cart that never stops getting more expensive. The average family just absorbed it, adjusted their budget, and kept paying. There's a family in Austin, Texas, who decided not to. A nurse, single mother of two, who looked at her grocery bill and walked into her backyard instead. She saves $400 a month on groceries. Her setup is a vegetable garden, not a farm, a backyard. Here is what nobody says out loud. The people getting real savings are not doing it as a hobby. They run it as a replacement system, not a supplement. And the gap between those approaches is the difference between saving $30 a week and eliminating a grocery category entirely. We are going to walk through 3 systems: an annual vegetable system that pays you back inside 60 days, a perennial system with 0 replanting cost after year 1, and one crop that pays you back every spring for 20 years from a single weekend of planting. That last one sounds like a typo. Start with what saves money fastest, at the lowest barrier. In late April or early May, pick up 6 indeterminate tomato seedlings, Brandywine, Cherokee Purple, Amish Paste, or any heirloom. Spend $18 on transplants, give them a 4x8 raised bed or a sunny fence line, and water consistently through September. Under reasonable conditions, a single indeterminate plant produces 50 to 80 pounds a season, documented by home growers. The University of Maryland Extension gives a more conservative figure, 10 to 15 pounds per plant. Take the conservative number. 6 plants at 12 pounds each is 72 pounds. Organic heirloom varieties retail at $3 to $6 per pound. 72 pounds at $3 is $216 in avoided grocery spending from one bed that cost $18 to plant. That is not income. It is $216 you did not spend. But here is the insider angle. It is not the tomatoes, it is the herbs. Fresh herbs are the highest savings per square foot crop in the home garden. A bunch of fresh basil costs $3 or more and wilts in 4 days. A single basil plant costs $2 and produces armfuls from June through the first frost. Parsley, thyme, chives, and rosemary. A 4 square foot herb patch replaces $200 to $400 a year in store herbs from a space the size of a coffee table. The proof: a Texas nurse told CBS News she saves $400 a month with tomatoes and herbs at the core. A backyard most people are mowing. Startup cost is $20 to $40 for 6 seedlings and a small herb collection. First harvest arrives 60 to 90 days after planting. The biggest mistake is treating the garden as supplemental and still buying the same store produce. The family saving $400 a month replaced a grocery category. They stopped buying store tomatoes in August because they had 80 pounds of better ones by the back door. The $30 a month, people just added the garden on top. System 1 works on one growing season. System 2 removes the replanting cost entirely. Buy tomato seedlings each spring and you pay a planting tax. Same bed, same crop, same cost, forever. Perennial herbs do not work that way. Rosemary, thyme, chives, and oregano are planted once, given a permanent corner that will not be disturbed, and they return every year with 0 additional investment. The Michigan State University Extension puts it plainly: perennial food crops offer the strongest long-term returns because the initial investment is made only once. A 4 square foot perennial herb patch established in year 1 for under $20 produces every spring and summer with no seed or transplant cost and no annual expense beyond watering. After 3 years, that $20 has delivered $600 to $1,200 in avoided spending from a space that takes 5 minutes a week. Garlic works the same way, only it gets more efficient every year. Each clove planted in fall produces a full bulb by summer. Replant the largest bulbs each fall, And your seed cost is now zero. Not lower, zero. Garlic is a self-replicating system that funds itself. A compounding advantage, MSU extension, confirms for self-seeding crops. A Maryland music teacher and mother of 3 plants, garlic abemate, alongside her perennial herbs and more than 50 other varieties, she saves $1,800 a year, $150 a month. Her biggest single return, $890 in tomatoes. Her second, herbs and garlic, she barely maintains. Startup cost, under $20 for a perennial herb starter pack, under $8 for a garlic bulb with enough cloves to plant a full fall bed. The biggest mistake is planting perennials in a bed that gets tilled or rotated. Perennials need a permanent, undisturbed home. Move them and you reset the root system that makes the multi-year return possible. Give them the right corner once and leave it alone. System 1 and 2 are seasonal. System 3 runs on the same logic, but instead of 1 season or 5 years of compounding, it saves you money every spring for 20 to 30 years from a single planting. This is the number that sounds like a typo. Asparagus is planted once. That is a botanical fact. A properly established bed of 1-year-old crowns produces for 20 to 30 years. The OSU Extension Service says a bed established from crowns begins full harvest by year 3 and yields abundant spears for decades. 20 crowns cost $20 to $40. Plant them in a permanent, dedicated bed with good drainage and full sun, and do not harvest in the first or second year. Let them grow ferns and build the root system that makes everything else possible. In the 3rd year, you start harvesting. At $4 to $6 per bunch, a modest 20 crown bed over an 8-week spring season generates roughly $300 worth of asparagus a year. Now run the math forward. $20 on crowns, $300 a year in avoided spending. Over 30 years, that is $9,000 in produce from a $20 investment and a single weekend of planting. No replanting or seed cost, and no maintenance beyond a light compost top, dressing each fall and cutting back the ferns after frost. That is not a typo. A family of 6 ate vegetables exclusively from their backyard for a year. Asparagus, perennial herbs, garlic, and tomatoes, all in under 400 square feet. First year savings, $6,000, $500 a month from a space smaller than most 2-car driveways. The biggest mistake is picking too early. Growers who harvest in year 1 destroy the crown energy that makes the 20-year return possible. Those first spears are the root system calling up resources, so let them go to fern. 2 seasons of patience protects 25 years of harvests. Together, run all 3 in the same backyard, and your input costs stop climbing while your produce spending falls towards zero. Here's what separates these families from everyone else. They stopped waiting for grocery prices to come down. They looked at that 30% increase since 2020 and decided to exit the market, at least for produce. They did not wait for the perfect yard or the perfect spring. They started with $20 of transplants and built outward. Grocery prices are up 30% since 2020, but only for the people still buying everything at the store. If you want the 5 perennial crops that pay you back in year 2 and keep going for decades, that is next week. Subscribe so you do not miss it.